Thank you.
Good.
We're gonna go right to old business. Revisit this. Yes, I know. Yeah,
Synopsis.
that's what it says. Sure.
As I understand it, there was a question about how to summarize our select board meetings, because the official minutes, the board has voted that they are the tape recordings. So the question is how to access those tape recordings. Certainly for me, it's of interest because sometimes when I have to do research, I don't want to go through the whole tape. So that issue was discussed at a July meeting when I wasn't here, but I understood that the decision was to have a revisit to this discussion topic on the first meeting in September, which is today, and that's what it is.
So what would you guys like to do?
Keep it.
I like this enough,
Why? Why do you like
because I like to read.
Good.
I like to have, it's easier for me to remember if I have it in front of me.
If I could say just something, I appreciate being able to at least finding topics, so that when I go through, I might not see all of the discussion. But if it says, Belgrade Village, discussion of Belgrade Village construction pertaining to some drainage, then at least I know where to go to get that information if I'm doing research on it.
Yeah.
So the way it's set up, it's easier for me to do it than having to listen to the tape or try to track my own memory.
Yep, I see that.
But they're gonna have them and they ought to be accurate. There's at least one mistake in this one.
What's the mistake?
New business, A, send a letter of support to the state or send a letter of support to CMP. You know, I made the motion.
No, I'm just trying to figure out what it's about. I'm not part of it.
It's about the power line.
Oh, well, that hasn't happened yet, but yes, we're going to.
That's what it's, I mean, that's all I'm saying, is that it ought to be accurate if it is. And I don't wanna sit here and edit these,
That's fine.
because that's why, one of the reasons we got away from it. I don't care one way or the other. There's some people that benefit by this and prefer things. I'd say we'll continue. Generally speaking, I don't have a need for it.
Well, as a new person on the job, I feel like I do.
Well, that's fine, and that's
I
why I
need
say if
reference
you wanna do it, I'm not gonna be opposed to it. I just don't see that.
Well, as an old person on the job, I like it. I like, if I want more information on something like this synopsis was on a meeting that I wasn't able to attend because I wasn't here. But if I want to, I can go to 6 minutes in and see where this discussion was about this. And I can hear the conversation that took place if need be. And it gives me something searchable to go back and get the history on certain topics that.
I can see they use it kind of like an index or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just it. 5 years down the road, nobody's gonna know why, why the select board decided to support a boat launch, on Salmon Lake. But then if you have a way to look it up and be like, oh, well, at this meeting, this was the discussion, and this was why. But future select boards aren't gonna always know. So it gives you, a way to search the history. A perfect example is Belgrade Lake's construction right now. How many years that has actually been in the works, and all the various discussions. Anybody newer to the select board or who's been floated in and out doesn't realize even the history of how long that conversation has been taking place and all of the concessions that both sides made over the course of those years.
It's probably been going on for longer than we've been going.
1998 is.
To be honest with you, because they've been on that thing for years.
Right, that's, and it gives a way to research it if somebody were to want to do that.
I think we're kind of all saying the same thing, or at least I don't hear anybody objecting to it, including me. I'm not really objecting to it. I just, if people get some benefit out of it, then let's keep doing it.
Just as long as we're not gonna use this for any legal stuff.
Yes.
It's just for our own benefits.
This is for
That is true.
nothing more than an index, so you know where to go, which
I
table.
think we all agree to that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I entertain a motion.
Hold on.
Oops,
Can,
go
can
ahead.
I, can I speak for a second? I'm the chair of the Communications Committee, Regina Coffins, and this has come up in our Communications Committee. And so I think the majority of the people in our Communications Committee would like to see, well, minutes. We're happy that we're having a synopsis, but, so I just sort of prepared some of the discussion that we've had, some of the reasons why we would like to continue, at least with the synopsis, and perhaps minutes further down the road, that it increases the transparency of town government by making it easy for residents to look at the web and read the minutes to the meeting, and that listening to recording can be kind of cumbersome, you know, and some people may not have access to the internet, and working families are too busy to sit and listen to a long audio. And the point that Melanie brought up, that it's difficult to research board meetings that are all audio. And one thing that we had talked about at our meeting was to have just a little more detail in the synopsis or the minutes, whatever we're calling them, such as like 1 or 2 sentences about the discussion, how the board voted on it. And I know that, like what you said, Mike, that it's kind of become, it's difficult to do the reread of the minutes, and at the beginning of the select board meeting, it kind of takes a long time. So maybe, I mean, that could be something to be talked about, maybe review the minutes at the end of the meeting so that it doesn't take up the time of the people that are attending the board meeting. But I think, you know, speaking as a resident, that I would like to see something written that makes it easy for me to go to the website, look at the agenda, and then see the minutes right there, read them without having to listen to a long audio. Even if the audio has, like, you know, the time on the, I mean, even if the synopsis has the time on of where it appears on the audio, it's still kind of cumbersome, you know, to be searching for that. So I just am hoping that we can keep at least the synopsis and maybe even some more detail on those.
Hang on, Mike.
What got us on this way we're doing today without the recording, I mean. I was one of the people who objected to it. Before we had what amounted to 2 records. We had minutes and we had the recording. Which one is the official record? If they disagree, if there's disagreement. So that's why we said, and I still say tonight, I don't care if we want to have minutes, that's fine, but one or the other, not both. And to go with the electronic record, which is put out on the net, and a synopsis, you know, I can kind of see what people are saying, and I wouldn't object to that. I would object to doing 2 of them again. So we're going to go back to minutes. And we used to spend more darn time at the meeting going over those 4 minutes. You know, we were wordsmithing the minutes and making changes. You're not supposed to do that, really, make changes. Making changes, I think, in some cases, so you came out looking better. Well, that's not the purpose of it. If we do the minutes, if we go back to the minutes, then I think we have to limit how much editing we're going to do before a meeting or after a meeting. Goes back to what I said before. If you're going to do them, they have to be accurate. But I really don't care. But I'll accept that I want one or the other. I don't want both.
Howard?
In this digital age, I would argue that you have a solution for both Mike's concern and other concerns, and that is get an audio recording that is legible, that can go through voice recognition, produce a digital copy of it, which is searchable. And if people want a written copy, they've got the written. If they want the oral, you've got the video, the audio recording. I honestly haven't listened to tapes recently to discern whether or not what the setup is here is really picking up everything for voices. Compare mine to Mike's. I think, you know, you've got to have reasonable recording. If you've got to put microphones in everybody's station, that's fine. But the technology exists. You don't have to spend time trying to figure out whether the minutes were accurate or not. If they're
representation, if they're a printout of the audio recording, they're accurate, they're what was said. And you don't have to spend time reviewing the minutes, and you have a written copy that people can search if they want to.
Well, and that was something I was just gonna say, is that, you know, if we are looking to do one or the other, I would be more in favor of in addition to. Because generally, if you have a talk to text or a talk to transcription, there's a disclaimer there that says, this has been done through voice recognition software, there may be grammatical errors, there's a disclaimer there that says this isn't legal, this is helpful. You know, and to have both on the website, if we're looking to create a new website, you know, some folks do better reading through what's gone on at a meeting, some folks simply learn better and retain better that way.
The problems you've described, though, you have that with a stenographer too. The stenographer is interpreting what he or she is hearing.
Right.
So who's to say it's accurate?
Danny?
What is accepted by the courts is accurate, but that's who says it's accurate. But let me go and say this. When you're doing research, whether it's a printed, digital system, like Howard described it, and I don't disagree, our sound system is atrocious here. We need, if we really are going to do this right, we should have speakers at each position, and we should have a speaker out here, and people should come up front, state their name, and then state their issue, right? So that's the best way in order to improve that digital record. If you want to have a digital printout voice recognition, that's available. It's not terribly accurate, but it's better than nothing. I prefer, as a town manager who often asks questions that I have to research, to be able to look at something and just be able to scan down through. I don't want to have to look at a printed document that's that thick or 10 pages or whatever. I want to scan down through and say, where was this discussed in the last 5 years? And just go right through, because that's what you do. You haven't got time to look through. And then wherever it's discussed, then I can start doing my research. So I prefer something that basically is what we have here. Maybe a little bit more, but votes and stuff like that. But that's just adding votes. It's not a huge issue. But from my point, we just need something simple that you can look up quickly and then do your research. It's helpful. And this doesn't have to be the official record. The official record, as you say, is the digital record. That's fine. That gives you the absolute record. But it does give you something to research about.
Jack?
What does the town do for the record of the town meeting? We have a warrant, we publish the warrant. We debate about it, town meeting. We get to an answer, yes or no. And that's it, isn't it?
Right.
Well, actually, that town meeting, generally, you tell me, Cheryl, at the last town meeting, we record that town meeting. We used to produce a full transcript of the town meeting. I don't know if that's being done now. We used to produce a full transcript of that town meeting. Cheryl, sorry.
Cheryl Cook.
71. It's not 61, it's asterisk. But anyhow, yeah, Cheryl Cook do that transcript.
Does anybody ever go back to it?
I've gone back to those transcripts.
I think the question is, do we want to keep doing this or not? That's where we are. If we want to change this, I think this is going to take a whole different discussion.
I think, I'll make a motion.
Sure.
I'll make a motion that we continue the electronic record plus the synopsis, and with the idea that we'll have further discussion on what's to come after that. But for now, the synopsis and the electronic record.
Second that.
Okay, been moved in second. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, I'd entertain a vote.
Yeah.
I guess so. I wasn't gonna vote for it.
We swayed you.
Yeah, you know what, I think we spend a lot of time on stuff that doesn't matter. Let's get into the new business. And the next thing on new business is Steve Smith. And this is about insurance. Steve and I had a little conversation one night, and I just feel that some of the information that you folks are getting from the insurance company is not accurate. So I asked if Steve would, I'll ask Denny to see if he could get Steve to come in and talk to us a little bit about it. So I turn this over to Steve.
Great.
So you had ex parte communication, what you said.
Yes. Yes, over there.
So,
My name is Steve Smith. I apologize for the attire. I just came back from the Olympic game, which we won. So just to give you a little bit of background on me, I live off of on Hardwood Circle. I've been in the insurance industry since 1994. I'm also a licensed property and casualty agent, so I do hold a license within the state of Maine. That's not my primary role. My primary role in the insurance industry now is I work with independent agents who sell insurance to you folks. From the conversations we had, Melanie and I exchanged some emails early in the year, and I just started thinking about the process that we go through and the agency that we work with. And my goal today is really, it's not about an indictment of an agency. The agency does a fantastic job. It's about understanding the process and what can we do to streamline the process to make it easier for you folks. And if possible, is there any cost savings available to the town as well? That's really the goal of this, is to make sure we understand what our insurances are, what our coverages are, is there an opportunity for savings, and is there an opportunity to make the process easier? And what I was seeing when I was quickly reviewing the policies is we had effective dates all over the place. And the effective date is basically when our policies within the town come up for renewal. And what happens when that happens becomes a management process. You have to continuously go through, manage the process, make sure the premium's getting paid, make sure the coverages are there. And you're doing this constantly because you're constantly revisiting the issue. And so the thought is what we'd want to do, or we'd like to look to do, is bring multiple agencies in that can provide us a quote on multiple products. Workers' comp, firefighters liability, the town general liability, the auto policies, health insurance, a whole conglomerate of things going on. And what we would do is we'd have these agents come in and create one effective date. Part of that, though, is, and one of the issues I think we run into, and this is where Ricky and I were talking about, and this is a strategy used by all agencies. So again, this is not the indictment on an agency at all. The strategy of an agency is they do what's called blocking the market. They go out and get a quote from every single insurance carrier that's available in the market, which means if you have another agency that comes in, they can't actually provide you a quote because the incumbent agency has officially blocked the market. And what it does is it creates a competitive disadvantage for us as a municipality. And my goal with that is to figure out how can we prevent that from happening. One of the things that we could certainly do is when we put out the RFP on this is we can say you can only go to one market. So it means you go to your best market, you come back with your best price. It creates a more competitive environment, and it also allows other agencies to get in the mix, and they can have conversations with us about consolidating things and making things easier and becoming more competitive. And that's really the goal, is just making sure we all understand as a select board and as residents of the town, are we getting the best bang for our buck? I reap no benefit from this, so my whole goal with this is making everyone's life easier and also saying, hey, if we can reduce insurance a little bit and provide better coverages, and that's a just better opportunity for the entire town. That's my goal today. I know we've got effective dates. The biggest thing we want to do is figure out, like, you know, I think it makes sense to kind of look at that June time frame, kind of falls in line with the fiscal year. And then part of the requirements is making sure that whatever agency we go out to is they're bringing in the effective dates and the quotes to correspond right around that time frame. They're not going to be perfect, but certainly we can get them within a week or so, or maybe a month, as opposed to revisiting it throughout the year, like I said. Any questions for me?
Right, so we have effective dates at different times, and it depends, I guess, when we initially purchased each.
Correct.
So the trick is, and when we were questioning the insurance companies, well, how do we get these effective dates closer together?
Yep.
And they said, the one thing that we were told, I believe, when you tell me if I'm wrong, because you follow up on this a little bit more, is we were told you have to get an agent. You have to get an agent that can then go out and look at your policies,
Yes.
and then provide you an overall coverage for those programs.
Yes.
Now, health insurance, I think health insurance is the one that we're going out with an RFP on.
Yep.
I know that that's what we're going out. But my understanding is health insurances, the companies do not get their premiums determined until like October.
Yeah, that's true.
Because
Yep.
at the end of the year, it comes to the end of the year, they
Yep.
gotta project, do their analysis, so that they know what the rates are for the following year. So those are the two things that I had. One thing you said that, the June date, our fiscal year is a calendar year.
Okay.
It runs from January to,
Yep.
December 31st. So while the state fiscal year is June, the end of June, 1 July to June 30th. I just wondered.
Yeah, and the dates can be whatever whatever you choose is what makes the most
So we have
sense.
to get an agent.
Yeah, so when what happens is, you know, right now you do have an agency that works with you on some of the policies that you have.
MMA primarily. Right?
Yeah, MMA, and they do a fantastic job. So again, this isn't about saying any one thing is wrong. It's about saying, are we getting the best opportunity and the best coverages? There's a lot of other carriers within the market that offer great municipal coverage, and I just don't know that we're necessarily getting that opportunity to look at it. If at the end of the day, MMA has the best policy, by all means, you go with it. I mean, they do a lot of fantastic things with grants. So there's all that would need to be part of the process, but it's about recognizing it. It's also letting you know, other agencies know that there's an opportunity to come in and solicit business at Belgrade, but we do it in an organized fashion, and we do it in a way that makes sense for you guys, because you're the ones that are managing the process. And my point today in talking with Ricky is that I'm available to help, but it's also about, it's really about making sure we have the best opportunity for the town. And not having you guys be overwhelmed, because when I started looking at stuff, it was giving me a headache. I'm like, and it's a strategy. I mean, they do that because if you create multiple effective dates, it becomes very difficult to manage. It's like managing or herding cats. So there's a way we can control that by mandating on how we want the estimates to come in and the quotes to come in.
The other question I have for that is, can you bundle health insurance with property casualty?
Generally speaking, no. What you can do, though, is you may be able to have a carrier that offers all lines of business, which creates a better opportunity. You can also help control costs, because oftentimes they'll be able to give better credits because you have multiple policies, and it's a way that they want to basically get the business, and then they want to retain it, and they do so by, you know, consolidating everything. But health insurance, without a doubt, is a beast. It's very difficult to manage the health insurance part of it. And it is the end of the year. That may be the one policy we'd have to basically let the renewal be a January 1 renewal, and everything else we could manage at a different time frame.
You know, we're going to be putting out an RFP for that. As you know, you're going to be part of that review process. I appreciate that too, by the way. So, yeah, I would love to sit down with you and Melanie and maybe one or two other people. I don't know who from the board would like, just to talk about the process. So organize this better for next year. I recognize that we're late this year.
Absolutely.
But I just wasn't aware of all the issues.
And there's
I started talking to the insurance industry, and now you.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing glaring out there like there's a problem. It's just about how can we become more efficient in the process, and if we can save money, then we should do that.
Absolutely.
And that's really where my motivation is coming from. When I saw, and I just saw what Melanie, I was looking at stuff, and like, it's if you create enough things out there, it becomes difficult to manage. And it doesn't mean you weren't managing it. It's just one of those things like you're looking at it, it's like going, I'm trying to, and I work in this stuff every day, and I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, this is crazy how it's been set up.
So. Yeah, and if you don't really know the insurance industry, I mean, I don't know the insurance industry. I read the policies. I don't even read my own policy. I read the town policy. But,
Mike, you got a question?
Yeah.
Steve, what do you see as your position in all this?
Really as a consultant, you know, just to be here to assist you guys, answer questions.
So you're willing to be the town, if we wanted you to be a town consultant, you could do that for us?
Absolutely.
Do you sell insurance yourself?
I do not sell it myself, so I work with the agents that sell on my behalf. I hold a license because in my role, I'm often sitting at agencies, and a client could come in for the agent, and I can help facilitate that sale by having a consultative discussion with them. But I'm not directly involved in that sale, and I receive no commission from it, so I'm not compensated for any of that.
So you don't see any potential conflict?
No, so my company, the company I work for right now, only sells basically home and auto coverage. So, and if my company did, it would not be part of the bidding process, because that would be definitely a conflict of interest.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else got anything? I got a question.
Yeah.
We talked about if the town should change insurance companies for health insurance, and there is somebody that has been ill, and I believe you told me that they have to take them. Is that correct?
Yeah, my understanding, and health insurance is a little bit of a trickier thing, but my understanding is they cannot exclude somebody from taking them on from coverages. And what we would do on that is, for any agent that comes in, we'd make sure that's very clear before anything occurs, before any coverages are changed, that is an understanding with the carrier that's coming in. But my understanding is that's something that they can't do. But I'm not a health and life guy, so.
This is pre-existing conditions you're talking about.
Yeah.
And pre-existing conditions by law Still, that has not changed. They're supposed to be.
I think that was
Right.
concerned at another period of time, and that's why I wanna make sure.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, so that was a conversation, but it's, you know, I don't hold a license in health and life, but, you know.
Yeah, well, working in Ghana, I mean, we have seen a lot of patients who are pregnant and come January 1st, they don't have coverage. They had coverage before, the previous one, but now the spouse and maybe a child that's already there is covered, but the person who's pregnant isn't covered because it's a pre-existing condition. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, I didn't think it was allowed. So, I mean, my experience, so, you know, I can speak for our personal experience where my wife has a pre-existing condition. We've always been able to get health insurance. So, you know, it's one of those, you know, I can't speak towards individuals, but, you know, my experience has certainly been that's not the case.
No,
Okay.
private insurance.
Anybody else got anything they wanna ask? Steve, thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity, guys. Yeah, appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Maybe that answers some questions.
It did. Oh, neat.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It also gives us somebody to go to.
Right.
Some
All right,
advice.
we're gonna go to the next thing is a library fund request for Roger. Yeah.
As I understand it, this is purely and simply what it says.
Yeah.
It's a $100 request for payment for a presentation of our gate is about to or has.
And they, money they already have.
It looks like it's coming up tomorrow. They don't already have it, it's on the warrant.
No, but I mean, it's
Sure, they have
they have the money on their account.
Figure they already have.
Well, no, they're asking us to release it because he's coming tomorrow.
Yeah. I make a motion that we grant this request.
Yes.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Any more discussion on it? Seeing none, I entertain a vote.
Yay.
5-4. All right, looks like we're down to abatements. Your favorite thing.
These are 3 abatements before, I guess. Right?
You wanna go over
Looks like
those?
it.
Fine.
Shannon? You wanna go over those?
They're basically what they say, they're abated for the adjustments made by the,
So we start right off with the Nathan Cobb one.
these are requested by.
Now, it used to be that that the tax assessor would come to the meeting when we were discussing the tax abatement, so if we had any questions about the abatements, then we could ask the tax assessor why they.
We've been doing it this way, of course, we can change that, but he hasn't been coming since I second.
No, but we did ask for a little more information, but I guess it's pretty self.
It kind of, there's a description underneath here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, before the.
They seem, at least in this case, it seems pretty
Yeah,
dry.
this one did.
Like, well, are we gonna take these one at a time, or?
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
I mean,
So first one's for $601.52.
Move acceptance.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this one? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. Second one is US Bank National Association for $254.04. Very motion on that?
So what is the BTE
That's a
exemption?
business exemption, business
Business equipment.
equipment tax exemption. It's a state allowed deduction for businesses.
This, what does amount to a mistake, there's tax in it, mistakenly in tax? You know,
This equipment wasn't taken into account.
Been moved, do I have a second?
second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, thanks. Next one is Hannah, former owner, Victoria.
Well, it looks like there's two, so is this? So we're taking it off Hannah, so I'm trying to figure this one out, is it tax acquired property?
So it was tax acquired property in 2017, and the assessor missed it and didn't actually assess it to the correct owner. So the tax assessor cannot submit a tax abatement over a year, so the 2017 has to actually be approved by the Board of Assessors, which is, and then the 18, it just came out, so the tax assessor put an abatement forward. Because it really is not Victoria Hannah's, they foreclosed on it and sold it to Hannah's.
Alright,
So there should be supplements for those abatements, because
I think there
hearings have to be
Yeah.
There is.
supplemented.
There is in the next page.
Yeah.
Yep,
So,
I'd make
two
the,
hundred, okay.
I'd make the motion that we accept this, abatement.
Moved,
Second.
seconded.
Second.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Five, thank you. Now we go to supplemental tax certificate. And the first one is on Donald and Mary Hammond, $217.44.
Was that last one, Victoria Hannah, is that the one where we run around trying to figure out who owned the lot?
No,
Victoria Hannah.
no, that was.
Well, that may be another, the one, the issue you're talking about is unknown property.
Yeah,
The unknown lot, that's a
I
different.
didn't, I've seen that name before. Victoria
yeah,
Hannah.
that rings a bell.
And I think that her sister came in here and talked to the board.
Yeah.
before it was
I think you're
voted
right.
on. Yeah.
Okay.
So do I hear a motion on this?
I make a motion, we,
Okay,
set this forward.
move, do I hear a second?
Second.
Then moved in second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. Next one is,
You have back Victoria
go
Hannah.
back to another abatement on the same piece of property.
Well, one year is 2017 and the other one's for 2018.
All right, so Dora Hannah again,
Yeah,
for $220.46.
I making a motion that we, accept this abatement.
Second.
Then moved in second, any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. Now we're back to supplemental tax.
That's for
Donald
2018.
Mary Hammond?
yeah. That's what
Same
we're-
thing, 2018.
Yes.
I'll make a motion, we put this, agree to this tax certificate.
Second.
Then moved in second, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? You guys are gonna have writers stamp when you get done.
Yeah,
It's gonna be nice.
That takes care of that. I guess we're on to the warrant. Look at it.
All right, warrant number 104, the warrant total is $1,264,564.55.
Do I hear a second on it?
Second.
You moved in second. Is there any discussion? Any questions on it? Mike?
Who is Howard Bishop and why are we paying him $250 for something on McGraw Pond Road? That's number 17703.
I can answer that probably.
Public Works.
He came over and picking up, when we had, a couple weeks ago, we had a little microburst come through,
Yeah,
took down a bunch of trees.
yeah.
And he went up and cleaned the trees all up. They cut them out of the road, but,
It's got a chair kicker.
yeah, got a pulp truck.
Gotcha, thank you.
I think that answered that.
Very good. I couldn't have done a better job.
Yeah, there we
I have a
go.
question about Central Main Power.
What's Steve saying?
00052. It's on the first page.
First page.
Yep. I just wanted to know if that includes the lighting.
The check number you're gonna wanna use is 17705.
Where are you? Oh, that one, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And which one are you?
Well, I'm curious to know if these Central Main Power, subsequent, we met about lighting and street lighting in the town today. Does this include
No, I
that?
just
Okay,
built that today.
all right, thank you.
That's a conglomerate bill for street lighting, you don't get individual bills.
Well, that's what I thought, but I didn't know if it had been tagged down here somehow.
If there was lighting on those buildings that were, you know, on electric eyes or, you know, on sensors, they would be billed to that building,
Right,
but not,
Right,
because they're
but it's
not,
not street,
they're not
No,
on
they're
pole.
not streetlights. I was
Sure.
curious about the streetlights. And how much
Anybody
was
else got any
paying for them.
questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
Good find. All right, who is, answering the phone question, who is Danielle Bernard, and why are we paying her tuition?
what's the,
17,
She's probably taking a
Looks like the,
paramedic course.
fire department.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
She's taking a paramedic course.
We do that.
Yes.
Good, and what is, real quick, what is a TS flagpole?
there's
Transfer station flagpole. That flagpole was,
You have two of them.
essentially was leaning quite heavily, and I asked Gary to fix it.
One's at the transfer station, the
And
other.
he straightened it out, line straight level.
They both say transfer station.
One
I mean-
says solid waste and the other one says transfer station. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's not, it's probably spent more money just talking about it.
Yeah.
$25.
Probably two different products that he used to straighten it up, I guess.
Could be. I'm just curious, but I couldn't figure out what TS was. Thank you, I'm done. Overruled.
CoreLogic,
Yep, go ahead.
so we've got in here check number 17708, paid incorrect parcel and there's a tax refund. So if they paid on it, is it then, are we gonna have another one where that tax is assessed to someone else?
No, it's, so CoreLogic is a big, huge tax company that pays the taxes for a lot of different banks. They centralize it. And
Yeah, I know, wear a hat.
so when they paid it, it's, sometimes they have the map and lot wrong. And so, like this, in this case, the map and lot was wrong, so they don't owe the 7446. So I returned it to them and they sent me a check for the correct amount, and we applied it to the correct payment.
Okay. I wondered if we were gonna be doing the same thing, like, oh. this
Oh,
is
no,
paid
oh,
in.
no. No. For supplements and maintenance.
And then my other question was on the beaver.
Yes, removal.
Yeah,
Is that up on, is that up on
so-
the?
Exactly, did we relocate it to a new home, and we're hoping it stays there, and then it's not like super far?
We had to hire a wildlife control specialist because the pond was backing up, raw pond, that's the one.
Yeah,
It was backing up the water so that the pipeline of the raw ponds got filled. We weren't able to take care of that dam, and the beavers relocated them. It could have had an impact on the road, it had an impact on the road. So we hired a wildlife control specialist. They caught the beavers, I hope. I hadn't
They
heard.
took them to the West Road, I heard.
Put them over by.
Thanks a lot.
South end of the.
Melanie,
something.
Melanie Jewell wanted.
that's my pool.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's,
Okay. Because I knew at one point what we were trying to do is as we were replacing culverts, we were trying to make the culverts bigger so that we could then get the beaver debris out of the culverts and not be in some of the same.
These culverts were big and they were stuffed with beaver stuff here a while ago. Morris took all that out, all the damning material out. The beavers spotted Morris and went down below and dammed up the street. And it backed it up halfway. I got pictures of it.
Go ahead, check this record. See what you get.
All right.
anybody got anything else? Seeing none, I would vote. Dick,
I have a question
you can.
on the sand and salt shed. I believe I see in the warrant $3,898 and change for generators in Maine and $77.50 for fans. So we've now spent $11,600 to remediate that, or are there additional charges?
David Trask, I think, was for, yeah.
David Trask put in the,
Yep.
Dan put in the fans and
Yep.
all of that, and paid for the motors and all that. And, the framework work was done by David Trask, and I think there was a $600 bill by Stevens to put in the road around the back so that they could, Trask could get in. And that was to install the two fans that the board approved here.
So something in the neighborhood of
Roughly
12,000 plus.
12,000.
Thank you.
Is that the part of that?
We hope that
Well,
they get it.
It better take care of it, quite frankly.
When are you gonna know?
Well, actually, Dave Stevens said he was gonna start putting up salt this week, so I went down a couple times and he hasn't been doing that. He's been working on another job. As soon as he does it, I asked him to let me know, so I could run down and just check. He'll be the first to let us know. And he said, because when I went down there and turned the fans on, you could feel the breeze coming through. So he's pretty confident it will work. We'll wait and see. I know Jack has a different opinion. Jack and I have talked about that.
If we have this
I second that.
engineered, it better work.
You're staying out of it, I know.
Not that you didn't have a good idea.
I
We went
thought
with an
it was
engineer.
And you know how well that's worked out for us in the past.
I know, that's what I mean. All right, so I didn't entertain a vote.
No.
All in favor of this? I vote, thank you. Town manager update.
Okay, I'm gonna try to be quick. I don't think I can.
Can't imagine
the last
that.
meetings.
Go ahead and try.
Okay.
Make a motion with adjourn.
Yeah.
Fine with me.
We'll discuss proposed
I
vote.
second that.
Oh, lunch.
As you know, there was a road meeting tonight. We've got, we're gonna have on our website the frequently asked questions. I've given results. About the road construction in the village, and we're gonna update them regularly on the website. There's also, on the website will be access to a webpage that DOT has specifically about the Belgrade Village road construction. And you can, on that website, if you go to that, you can actually sign up for email alerts about any changes in that. As you know, Mike, Kathy, Howard and I were looking into wages. We'll talk about that at the next meeting. I just wanted, it was a very good meeting today. I thought it was fruitful for me, so we'll get into that sometime at the next board meeting. Streetlight meeting, there were a number of questions that were asked, good questions that were asked, and it's not one of these straightforward processes that you think you can just put into place, so I'm going to be answering about 15 or so questions, and then I'll be meeting with the Streetlight Committee again to talk about this potential savings, either this year or next year, maybe running a pilot or something like that. We got more work to do on that. Center for All Seasons, we are now working on getting quotes for the actual work. We've got quotes for the materials and stuff. I'm meeting with Rome on September 17th to talk about the fire district proposal that you have authorized me to go speak to them about, but that's on September 17th. Shelter information, the Red Cross came in, we had meetings about the 3 buildings that we were looking at for shelters. They're going to come back with their assessment and tell us what we can use them for a shelter or not. So that information is coming. I gave you a letter from the governor talking about unemployment compensation in the LD 17, I can't remember the
I don't remember the number.
can't remember the number, but anyhow, essentially what happened, and the governor was upset with, is that the legislature overrode his veto on this unemployment compensation, which allows those first 6 weeks of unemployment, if people are put on and let go, as long as the business gives them a recall date, the first 6 weeks of that is, you don't have to look for work, and the governor felt that that was wrong. So he wanted everyone to know. I put a copy of that letter into your mailboxes so you can read it. If you want me to do anything with it other than that, you tell me and I'll do whatever you want. We're in the final steps of finalizing an initial budget. That's not the warrant items. The warrant items are coming right along. And we should be ready to pursuant to the schedule that we developed. Hopefully we'll be able to do an initial briefing early in October. And then you'll be voting either toward the end of October or early November. The effort is to get everything done to the extent we can by the end of by December 1st. So, and I think we're going to be able to do it. I know there's a number of issues going on, and sometimes your first effort at going through these kind of changes are difficult, but I think it's going to be done. The Ethel Lynn Kelly Award, we received some very complimentary letters that we attached to the award package, and I submitted the package last Friday. I have great hopes. That's the package of the award for Jack Sutton for the memorial. It's an award for civic service. Long time. KV Cog's annual meeting is on the 27th of September. I'll be going. Mike is the board representative, but any board member can go if you want to go. Let me know, and I'll put you on the list, and then we'll send the names in so we can take it and check. Newsletter will be out next week. I want to thank the communications committee. The newsletter, I've been getting a lot of compliments lately from a number of people around town who talked about the improving quality of the newsletter. It's a couple pages longer this time, and I okayed those pages because I thought the information was wrong, but we got the election coming up, a number of other things. The BLA has asked whether they could use the town office for their water lake survey on Great Pond, training and actual kind of location where we're gonna be back here with the volunteers. Saturday, I told them that I would allow for that, given, hopefully you approve. But there's no cost to them, but they're doing the survey. The work downtown is kind of prohibited, their use of a couple areas down there that they were thinking about. So anyhow, they asked me if we could use the building here, and I indicated yes. I'll be giving one person one key to open the front door.
I'm on that committee.
Oh, you're on that committee? Well, then, I was gonna give, are you gonna be there, sir?
He is now.
Because I'll give Carol the key anyhow, just in case something happens. And I'll give her my passcode so that.
Is this something that like going on with that letter that got sent out?
Yeah, it's a water quality survey of
Great Pond.
Great Pond and the surrounding
But
property.
they sent letters to all the people wanting to go on the property.
Yeah, but they don't have to allow them on the property, obviously.
First of all, who gives them the right to even do that?
Well, the purpose of the water quality survey is to look at what are the sources of pollution going into the lake. So they ask permission to go and survey the properties. People don't have to give them that.
I thought it was a friggin' donation, I threw the paper away.
Well, it's not a donation at all.
I just got that, and I just threw it in the trash.
Well, that's because you see a lot of that.
Yes, I
Sure,
know.
you meant recycle.
Yes, I did, right into the fire pit.
This effort will lead to grants that will help down the road, because you have to do these surveys in order to get the bigger grants, which are going to help remediate the problems with water quality.
They've got people stirred up, I can tell you that. There's a lot of conversation going on about it.
Because probably if somebody's pumping their poop into the lake, they don't want it documented.
Well, they aren't looking for that, they're looking for erosion.
Erosion.
They're looking for sources of erosion. So they're not looking for like, septic systems or anything, they're not looking for any of that. They're looking for sources of erosion because erosion carries, fine silt carries a lot of phosphorus, and that's part of the problem with the lakes, the phosphorus loading. You want me to do it to erosion?
I just don't agree with it, but that's fine, I'll just shoo them off when we get there.
Okay, that's your
prerogative.
The dam committee, by the way, in the past week, we adopted
Slowing that down.
the DAM committee. The DAM
committee, yeah.
I've been receiving a lot of calls, as I'm sure a lot of you folks have been receiving, about the low lake levels, especially on Long Pond. There have been suggestions that we release water from Great Pond, because that's only down 6 or 7 inches versus 16 inches in the Long Pond. Different issues, I'm not going to discuss the relevant merits of either lake. The one person suggested that we do temporary repair. So I said, well, I'm not on the dam committee, I'll pass this suggestion on to the dam committee. There was some interest in that, so I did a lot of work to try to get a DEP waiver, kind of a waiver or approval to do it without a lot of unnecessary paperwork. We were able to get all of that through. We met at an emergency meeting last Friday at 5 o'clock, or no, last Thursday at 5 o'clock. The dam committee said, look, we're not going to say no to a temporary repair, because now we know what we have to do. And we can put that in place pretty quickly. They're looking at an assessment to see if they can get the full repair done earlier than later, so that they don't waste money on a temporary repair that has to be pulled out. That repair could cost anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000. So they're hoping to be able to do the whole thing for probably more than that, but at least save that $8,000. Whether people living on Long Pond are happy with that, I don't know, because they would like to see the leak stop now. Because right now, my estimate, and I'm having it confirmed by Colby, is that we're losing 20 cubic foot per second, the equivalent of 20 cubic foot per second out of Long Pond. A lot of that is due to leakage. We have to keep 8 cubic foot per second, so and then evapotranspiration, because that's a fairly significant part of it too. But in any case, they've decided to put that on hold, temporary fix on hold. So if you're asked, you can say that. And they're looking at the complete repair to the dam, trying to save the town. Okay. And then, I guess that's it.
So, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Going back to the work on the Center for All Seasons,
Yes.
is it likely that work's gonna get done this year?
We're trying desperately to get the upper half It'll be two phases. The upper half is what we're hoping to get done this year.
What I'm thinking is that article is a one-year article. So you gotta have it done this year.
Well, it's not gonna get done this year.
We'll have to bring it in.
We'll have to redo it again, or just ask them to extend it, or
An extension.
we'll do that warrant article. But you don't see it getting done this year. I see the upper half maybe.
The upper half, maybe, yeah.
Dave Trask has given us a bid on that. And,
All right,
with that, I'm done.
any questions for Dan? Seeing none, we'll move on to the other. Anybody in the audience got any questions they wanna ask? Throw darts at us or anything?
Once again, I move for adjournment.
No, we can't, we got an executive session. Looks like to
We
me.
still have to do it for.
You got executive session?
No, I'm not gonna have it.
Okay, I move for adjournment.
All right,
I put that on there in case we have an issue.
In case we're ready.
okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, been moved and seconded, any more discussion?
No, can't discuss it. Privilege.
That's right.
Privilege vote.
All in favor? Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Is that a record?
No, last week was a record.
Last time was a record?
This weekend.